All right, Reddit, I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting here, but here I am, typing this out while my entire life falls apart. I don't even know where to start, because if you had asked me a year ago, I would have told you that my wife, Emily, was the most loyal, trustworthy person on this planet. And now I can't even look at her without feeling like I've been living in some twisted, delusional fantasy. We've been married for 8 years. 8. I thought we were happy. I mean, sure, we had the usual arguments. Chores, money, her occasional habit of spending way too much on clothes while telling me we needed to cut back on eating out. But nothing could have prepared me for what I'm about to tell you. Emily has always had a way of making people believe whatever she says. She's got this innocent, wide-eyed, soft-spoken way of talking that just drips with sincerity. She could convince a starving man that eating was a sin, and he'd believe her. And trust me, she used that talent on me more times than I can count. But even with all that, I never suspected this. About 6 months ago, she suddenly got really into church. And I mean really into it. Now, before I go any further, let me clarify, I'm not against religion. I grew up in a semi-religious household, went to church a few times a year, said grace on Thanksgiving. But Emily? She was never the religious type. If anything, she used to roll her eyes at people who quoted scripture like it was some kind of moral high ground. She always said organized religion was full of hypocrites and control freaks. And then, out of nowhere, she couldn't stop talking about how incredible Father Michael was. Father Michael's sermons are so deep. He really understands people, she'd say over dinner, her eyes practically glowing. Or, Father Michael has given me so much clarity. I feel like I've finally found my purpose. At first I thought, okay, maybe she's just going through some spiritual phase. People change, right? And honestly, I was kind of happy for her. If church gave her some kind of peace or whatever, who was I to argue? But then, things started feeling off. For one, she started dressing up more than usual, even for the smallest church gatherings. Now, I'm not talking about just putting on a nice dress. I mean expensive new outfits, heels, red lipstick. Who the hell wears red lipstick to a Bible study? And perfume. Not the kind you wear for yourself, but the kind you wear when you want to be noticed. At first, I didn't question it too much. Maybe she was just feeling confident, but then she started staying late at church for volunteer work. First, it was an hour, then 2, then 3. One night, she told me she had to help rearranging books after evening service. She didn't get home until almost midnight. Midnight, Emily, I said when she finally walked in, looking flustered. It's literally a church. How much rearranging could there possibly be? She sighed dramatically, rolling her eyes like I was some kind of idiot. You don't understand, Tom. Father Michael is really trying to make the church more welcoming, and that means details matter. I was helping him organize. Yeah, I bet she was. Then there was her phone. She suddenly started guarding it like it held the secrets of the universe. Before, she'd leave it lying around, sometimes even asking me to check a text if her hands were full. Now, the thing was either glued to her hand or locked up tighter than Fort Knox. I tested it one night. She was in the shower, and I grabbed her phone. Sure enough, password changed. I confronted her about it, and she got defensive fast. Oh my God, Tom. Do you not trust me? Am I not even allowed to have privacy now? It's just weird, Em. You never used to care. Well, maybe I'm tired of you being so insecure all the time. Ever think of that? I didn't even know how to respond. Insecure? I had never once accused her of cheating. Never even given her a reason to think I was insecure. But suddenly I was the problem? And then came the sex issue. Or, should I say, the lack of sex issue. We'd always had a decent sex life. Nothing wild but consistent. But out of nowhere, she stopped being interested. I'm talking about weeks without anything. And when I finally asked about it, she looked at me like I had just suggested we sacrifice a goat in our living room. Sex isn't everything, Tom. Maybe if you focused on your own spiritual growth, you wouldn't be so obsessed with it. Yeah, that was the moment I knew something was seriously wrong. I should have put the pieces together sooner. I should have trusted my gut. But I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that she was just going through some religious transformation and that I was being paranoid. And then, last week, I found something that shattered my entire reality. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't crazy. My wife was cheating on me with a priest. And let me tell you, Reddit, when I say I lost it, I mean I lost. IT. So, where was I? Oh yeah, the moment my entire world imploded. Last week, I finally got my proof. I'd been feeling like something was off for a while, but I didn't have any real evidence. Just suspicions. But that night, the universe practically handed me the smoking gun. It started when Emily left for yet another late-night volunteer session. The moment she walked out the door, I felt that gnawing pit in my stomach again. Something was wrong, and I needed to know what it was. I'm not proud of this, but I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. Now, before you judge, let me be clear, I didn't want to be the kind of guy who spies on his wife. But at this point, she'd given me every reason to be suspicious. And trust me, I was not ready for what I was about to see. She wasn't even careful. Didn't even try to hide it. I parked a little down the street from the church and watched as she walked in through the side entrance, her high heels clicking against the pavement. High heels. For a volunteer session. At 10 p.m. Yeah, okay. I waited for a few minutes, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. Maybe she was just helping. Maybe I was losing my mind. But then, through one of the side windows, I saw it. The lights inside the church were dim, but I could make out two figures near the altar. Emily and him. Father Michael. At first I thought, okay, maybe they're just talking. But then I saw her put her hand on his chest. Then he touched her waist. And then, Jesus Christ, I saw them kiss. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. I just sat there, staring through the windshield, my mind refusing to believe what I was seeing. My wife, the woman who lectured me about morality, about being a better person, was making out with a freaking priest in a goddamn church. For a moment, I actually thought I might be sick. My heart was racing so fast, I thought it was going to explode. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Every rational thought I had left in my head told me to leave. Walk away. Process this. But no, I wasn't just going to sit there like an idiot while my wife cheated on me with a man of God. I got out of my car and marched toward the church, my entire body shaking with rage. When I pushed open the door, the sound of it echoing through the empty hall, they jumped apart like guilty teenagers caught by their parents. Emily gasped, her eyes going wide with shock. Father Michael just stood there, frozen, his hands still half raised like he was about to grab her again. What the hell is this? I growled, my voice echoing in the silence. Emily's face twisted into an expression I'd never seen before, somewhere between guilt, fear, and annoyance. Like I was the one ruining her night. Tom, what are you doing here? She snapped, crossing her arms over her chest like I was the one in the wrong. I couldn't even respond at first. I was too busy looking at Father Michael, who still hadn't said a damn word. Oh, don't just stand there, Father. I spat, my voice dripping with venom. Tell me, is this what spreading the word of God looks like? He swallowed hard, rubbing the back of his neck like some awkward teenager who just got caught sneaking into a girl's room. Tom, I think we should all calm down. Oh, hell no. I turned back to Emily, who had the nerve to roll her eyes. Roll her eyes. You're acting crazy, she said, like I was some unhinged maniac instead of a husband who just walked in on his wife making out with a priest. It's not what it looks like. I actually laughed. Laughed. A short, bitter sound that didn't even sound like it came from me. Oh, really? So what exactly am I looking at? Emily. She scoffed, flipping her hair over her shoulder like she wasn't standing there with another man. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Michael and I were just... I cut her off before she could spew another lie. Oh, Michael, huh? Not Father Michael anymore. Her jaw clenched, but I wasn't done. Not even close. How long? I demanded, my voice shaking with fury. How long have you been sneaking around behind my back? She let out an exasperated sigh, like I was some annoying child throwing a tantrum. Oh my God, Tom, stop being so dramatic. It's not like I planned this. It just happened. I swear something in my brain short-circuited right then and there. It just happened? I repeated, my voice rising. Like you tripped and landed on his lips? Are you kidding me? Father Michael finally found his voice. Tom, I know this is painful, but... I turned on him so fast he actually took a step back. Shut the hell up, father, I snapped. I don't want to hear a damn word from you. Emily let out a dramatic sigh, rubbing her temples like I was giving her a headache. You're embarrassing yourself, she muttered. That was it. That was the moment I realized there was no saving this. No explaining, no understanding, no fixing what she had done. I stared at her, really looked at her, and I didn't see my wife anymore. I saw a liar, a manipulator, a woman who had been gaslighting me for months while sneaking off to a church to screw a priest. Something inside me snapped. I turned on my heel and walked away, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grab my keys from my pocket. I heard her call after me. Oh my God, Tom, don't be so childish. Can we talk about this? I didn't stop. I didn't turn around. I didn't say another word. I got into my car, slammed the door shut, and drove away, my mind racing with 1,000 thoughts. But one thing was clear. This marriage? It was done. And Emily? She was dead to me. I wish I could tell you I drove home, got some sleep, and handled the situation like a rational adult. But let's be real. Rational went out the window the second I caught my wife tongue-wrestling a priest in the house of God. I don't even remember half the drive. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep the wheel steady. My heart was pounding, my head was spinning, and my entire body felt like it was on fire. I didn't know if I wanted to scream, punch something, or just disappear. I got home, slammed the door shut, and just stood there in the middle of the living room, trying to process what the hell had just happened. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. And then, like clockwork, my phone started buzzing. Emily. I ignored it. She called again, and again. By the fifth call, I was so close to smashing my phone against the wall, but instead I just let out a bitter laugh. Now she wanted to talk. Now that she'd been caught. After about 10 minutes, she finally gave up and sent a text. Tom, come on. You're acting insane. Just come back so we can talk like adults. Like adults. Right. Because adults sneak around with priests and then act like their husband is the crazy one for reacting. I tossed my phone onto the couch and paced the living room like a caged animal, running over every conversation, every excuse she'd given me in the past 6 months. All those late nights at church, the locked phone, the sudden holier-than-thou attitude. I should have seen it. I did see it. I just didn't want to believe it. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? I didn't just lose my wife that night. I lost my entire reality. The gaslighting begins. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of knocking. Loud, insistent, like someone was trying to break the damn door down. I already knew who it was before I even got out of bed. Sure enough, when I yanked open the door, there she was, Emily, standing on my porch with her arms crossed, looking equal parts pissed off and bored. Jesus, Tom, she huffed, pushing past me like she still had the right to walk into my house. I thought you were dead or something. I didn't even look at her. I just shut the door and leaned against it, taking a deep breath. What do you want? She turned to face me, her arms still crossed. To talk. Like mature adults. I laughed. I actually laughed. Mature? That's rich coming from the woman screwing a priest behind my back. She groaned, like I was being so unreasonable. Oh my God, you're making this into some huge thing. Emily, I cut her off, staring at her like I was seeing her for the first time. I caught you. In the church. With your priest boyfriend. What part of this isn't a huge thing? She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might fall out of her skull. We didn't even sleep together, Tom. I let out a slow breath, my hands shaking at my sides. You expect me to believe that? I'm telling you the truth, she insisted, flipping her hair over her shoulder, like she always did when she was trying to sound convincing. We just been talking, okay? Connecting on a deeper level. Emotionally, I stared at her in disbelief. So let me get this straight. You got all dressed up, snuck off to church, kissed a priest, and I'm supposed to believe it was just an emotional thing. She let out this frustrated sigh, like I was the one making this difficult. You always do this, she muttered. You blow things out of proportion and make everything about you. I actually felt my jaw drop. Make everything. Emily, you cheated on me? And then get this, she actually had the audacity to laugh. Like I had just told her the dumbest joke in the world. Oh, please, she scoffed, tossing her hands in the air. If you were actually a good husband, maybe I wouldn't have needed someone else to talk to. That was it. That was the moment I knew she wasn't sorry. She wasn't guilty. She wasn't even embarrassed. She meant it. She believed it. And that's when I realized that Emily wasn't just a liar. She was a narcissist. She could have come in here crying, begging for forgiveness. Hell, she could have at least pretended to feel bad. But no, she was standing in my living room, smirking, flipping the entire situation on me, acting like I was the one who had done something wrong. I took a slow breath, forcing myself to stay calm. You need to leave? She blinked. Excuse me? I said, you need to leave. I repeated, my voice steady. This conversation is over. Her face twisted in disbelief. Tom, you're being insane. No, I'm being done. I walked to the front door, pulled it open, and gestured for her to go. For a second, she just stood there, staring at me like she couldn't believe I was actually kicking her out. Like she expected me to break down, to beg her to stay, to forgive her. And when she realized I wasn't going to, she laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a guilty laugh, a mocking laugh. You're so pathetic, she said, shaking her head. You'll never find anyone better than me. And with that, she strutted out the door, her heels clicking against the pavement as she walked back to her car. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, watching as she drove away, leaving nothing behind but the smell of her expensive perfume and the wreckage of our marriage. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it, exhaling slowly. And for the first time in months, I felt relief. I wasn't sad. I wasn't heartbroken. I was free. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? That after getting caught sucking face with a priest, my darling wife would just sign the divorce papers and let me move on with my life? Nope. Emily wasn't just a liar. She was a performer. And her next act? Making me the villain of this whole mess. The gossip machine. 2 days after I kicked her out, I started getting weird texts from mutual friends. Hey man, just checking in. You okay? Dude, I heard some crazy stuff. Can we talk? Tom, I had no idea you were struggling. If you ever need to talk. At first, I had no clue what they were talking about. I figured maybe someone had seen her storming out of my house the other night and put 2 and 2 together. But then I got a message from my sister. What the hell is Emily saying about you? I called her immediately. What are you talking about? She sighed. Tom, she's telling people that you've been emotionally abusive for years, that you were controlling, that you neglected her, and that she turned to God because she didn't feel safe with you. I actually had to sit down. My head was spinning. You're joking. I wish I was, she said. She's been playing the poor, heartbroken wife act all over town. Now, let me be clear. I have never laid a hand on Emily. I never even raised my voice at her until I caught her making out with a priest. But suddenly, in her twisted version of events, I was the monster who pushed her into another man's arms. And people believed her. Damage control. I wasn't going to let her destroy my reputation just because she got caught. So, I started reaching out to people, friends, coworkers, anyone who might have heard her version of events. Some of them already knew the truth. They'd seen her little spiritual transformation and thought it was weird. Others? Not so much. One of my friends, Jake, was hesitant when I called him. Look, man, I don't want to pick sides. I sighed. Jake, be honest with me. What exactly did she say? He hesitated. Then, finally, she said you were paranoid. That you accused her of cheating when she was just trying to find herself. That you were jealous of Father Michael because he was helping her grow as a person. I almost threw my phone across the room. Helping her grow? Jake, I saw them kissing. In the church. Oh. I repeated, gripping the phone tighter. Is that all you have to say? He let out a slow breath. Man, I don't know. It's just Emily's really convincing, you know? Yeah, I knew. But I wasn't going to sit back and let her rewrite history. So, I decided to do something drastic. A public service announcement. I went on Facebook. Now, I hate drama. I really do. But Emily was out here making me look like the villain while she played the tragic wife act. So, I made a post. Since there seems to be some confusion, let me clear the air. Emily and I are getting divorced because she had an affair with our local priest. I caught them in the act, in the church, and she admitted to it. Any other version of this story is a lie. Thanks for your concern. Short, simple, brutal, and boy, did that set off a firestorm. Within minutes, my inbox was blowing up. Some people were shocked. Others? Not so much. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who thought Emily's spiritual awakening was sketchy. And then she called me. Emily loses her mind. The second I picked up, she screamed into the phone. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I held the phone away from my ear. "Oh, so now you want to talk? You're ruining my reputation," she shrieked. "Do you have any idea how this makes me look?" I actually laughed. "Oh, I know how it makes you look, Emily. The problem is you don't like that people finally know the truth." She was breathing so hard I thought she might hyperventilate. "You're being vindictive. I knew you would do this. You always had to make yourself the victim." "Oh, you mean like you've been doing for the past week?" I shot back. "Telling people I was some controlling husband who forced you to cheat? That's not what I said." She snapped. I sighed. "Emily, we're done. You're a liar. You're a cheater. And the only reason you're mad is because you didn't get to control the narrative this time." She was silent. For the first time in days, she had nothing to say. And then, finally, she let out this fake, shaky sigh, like she was so exhausted from dealing with me. "I hope you know you're making a huge mistake." I smiled. "I hope you know you're a joke." And then I hung up. After my little public service announcement, I thought that would be the end of it. That Emily would sulk away. Father Michael would lay low, and I could start moving on with my life. Oh, how wrong I was. Because 2 days later, guess who showed up at my doorstep? Not Emily. Father Michael. I had just come back from work, still running on fumes from all the chaos, when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it, expecting a neighbor or maybe my sister checking in. Instead, standing there like some guilty teenager, was the priest who wrecked my marriage. I stared at him, deadpan. "You've got 5 seconds to explain why the hell you're here before I slam this door in your face." He shifted uncomfortably, wringing his hands. "Tom, please. I need to talk to you." "Oh, now he wanted to talk." I folded my arms. "Funny, you had plenty to say when you were giving my wife spiritual guidance." "What? No sermon prepared for me?" He sighed, rubbing his face like he was the real victim here. "I made a mistake." I blinked. "No, a mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. What you did, that was a decision." He flinched. "Good. Look," he said, exhaling slowly. "I know you hate me, and I deserve that. But I need you to know, I never wanted this to happen." I actually laughed at that. "Oh, you accidentally tripped and fell into my wife's mouth." His face went red. "It started as just talking, I swear. She came to me about your marriage." "Oh, for the love of—" "Let me guess," I interrupted. "She told you I was a terrible husband? That she felt trapped? That she needed someone who understood her?" He swallowed. "She said she felt alone." I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly saw my own brain. "Right? Because a priest is the logical choice for a marriage counselor." He hesitated. "I know I shouldn't have. I broke my vows." I smirked. "Oh, that's what you're worried about? Your vows? I didn't realize you took those more seriously than, I don't know, the ones I made to my wife." He winced again, and for a brief moment, I actually thought I saw regret on his face. Then he said the stupidest thing imaginable. "She told me she was going to leave you." Something inside me snapped. I took a step forward, and for the first time, he looked nervous. "So let me get this straight," I said, my voice low. "You thought, oh, she's leaving her husband anyway. Might as well get a head start?" He shook his head frantically. "No, I told her she needed to be honest with you, that she couldn't keep living a lie." I let out a slow breath, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. "And yet, somehow, she only came clean when I caught you two in the act?" Silence. I nodded. "That's what I thought." He swallowed hard. "I wanted to apologize." I tilted my head. "Apologize? You want me to forgive you?" "No," he said quickly. "I know I don't deserve that. I don't know. I needed you to know I'm not proud of this." I stared at him, taking in the pathetic, guilt-ridden expression on his face. For a split second, I almost believed him, and then I remembered my wife's smug smirk. Her laugh. The way she called me pathetic after I kicked her out. And suddenly, all I saw was another liar. I exhaled sharply and shook my head. "I don't care if you're sorry. I don't care if you spend the rest of your life crying about it. You made your choice, and now you get to live with it." He nodded slowly, like he expected that answer. I lost my position at the church, he murmured. The bishop found out. Oh, well, guess there is a God after all. Good, I said flatly. Maybe next time, pick a woman who isn't married. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something else, but I was done. So I did what I should have done the moment I saw him on my doorstep. I shut the door in his face. And just like that, Father Michael was out of my life. One down, one to go. After Father Michael's little confession, I figured Emily would finally back off. Maybe she'd crawl into whatever hole she came from and leave me alone. Oh, how naive I was. Because 2 days later, she showed up again. I was halfway through eating a sandwich when I heard the knock. At first, I thought maybe it was a delivery or my sister checking in. But when I opened the door, there she was, standing on my porch like she still had a right to be here. Her arms were crossed, her foot tapping against the ground impatiently. Like I had kept her waiting. What do you want, Emily? I sighed, already exhausted. She narrowed her eyes. We need to talk. I let out a bitter laugh. That's funny because I distinctly remember you telling everyone that I was the problem. That I was controlling and paranoid. She waved a dismissive hand. Oh, please. I had to say that. Do you have any idea how humiliating it was to have people find out like that? I blinked. Emily, you're the one who got caught sucking face with a priest. Maybe next time, don't cheat on your husband in a public place. Her lips pressed together in a thin line. You didn't have to blast it all over Facebook. Oh, so I'm the bad guy for telling the truth? I scoffed. Maybe if you weren't busy playing the poor, abused wife act, I wouldn't have had to. She rolled her eyes, but I could see the cracks forming. She was losing control of the narrative, and she hated it. You ruined my reputation, she hissed. I smirked. No, you ruined your reputation. I just gave people the facts. She glared at me, crossing her arms even tighter. Well, congratulations, Tom. You got what you wanted. Everyone knows. And now I have to deal with the fallout. Oh no, I deadpanned. Not the consequences of your own actions. She let out an angry sigh and ran a hand through her hair. Look, I didn't come here to fight. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. Then what did you come here for? She hesitated, then finally muttered, I want another chance. I swear to God, I almost laughed in her face. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. You what? I want to fix things, she said, stepping closer. We've been together for 8 years, Tom. You're really just going to throw that all away? My jaw clenched. Emily, you threw it away the second you decided Father Michael was worth more than our marriage. She exhaled sharply. It wasn't like that. Really? I tilted my head. Then tell me, what was it like? She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. That's what I thought. I shook my head. It's over, Emily. There's nothing to fix. She hated that answer. I could see it in the way her fingers curled into fists, the way her face twisted into something almost desperate. And then she switched tactics. Tom, she said softer this time, stepping closer. I miss you. I miss us. I didn't move, didn't react, because I knew this was just another one of her games. I was just lost, she continued, her voice almost pleading. I needed something to believe in. And Michael was a convenient excuse, I finished for her. You're not sorry, Emily. You're just mad that you got caught. She hated that even more. Her face darkened, her soft expression disappearing in an instant. You're making a huge mistake, Tom. I smirked. No, the mistake was ever trusting you in the first place. She sucked in a sharp breath, her eyes burning with fury. And then, just like that, she flipped again. Fine, she spat, stepping back. Be alone. Be miserable. But don't come crawling back when you realize no one else will put up with you. I laughed. Trust me, Emily. The only thing I regret is not kicking you out sooner. Her nostrils flared. Her jaw clenched. She wanted to scream, to throw something, to win. But there was nothing left for her to hold on to. I watched as she turned on her heel, stomped back to her car, and slammed the door shut. And when she sped off down the street, I exhaled. It was over. Really over. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. It's been a few weeks since Emily stormed off my porch, and honestly, I've never felt better. No more sneaking suspicions. No more late-night anxiety. No more dealing with her condescending smirks, her manipulation, her never-ending excuses. Just peace. At first, I thought I'd feel empty without her. I mean, we were together for 8 years. That's a long time to just throw away, right? But you know what I realized? I wasn't mourning her. I was mourning the version of her that I thought existed, the woman I wanted her to be. Emily wasn't that woman. She never was. And the moment I let go of that illusion, everything got easier. So, what happened to Emily? Well, turns out her little church affair didn't end the way she expected. Father Michael got reassigned after his congregation found out about our little love triangle. Apparently, the church wasn't too thrilled about their priest getting a little too hands-on with the flock. Last I heard, he got shipped off to some tiny parish in the middle of nowhere. As for Emily, she tried to stay at the church for a while, tried to act like she was the victim in all of this. But shocker, people don't take too kindly to cheaters. The church ladies started giving her the side eye. The gossip spread like wildfire, and soon enough, she became the black sheep of the community. Eventually, she stopped going altogether, probably too embarrassed. And me? I moved the hell on. I got my own place. Something small, something mine. No reminders of Emily lurking in the corners. No memories clinging to the walls. Just a fresh start. At first, it was weird. I kept expecting her to barge in with some new complaint. Kept waiting for the next round of drama. But day by day, the silence started feeling good. I went out more. Saw friends I hadn't seen in years. Turns out Emily had a habit of isolating me without me even realizing it. I hit the gym, started eating better, focused on myself. And for the first time in a long time, I actually felt happy. Looking back, there were so many red flags I ignored. So many moments where my gut screamed at me that something was wrong. But I brushed it off because I trusted her. Because I thought she wouldn't do that to me. So, if you're reading this and you're in a relationship that feels off, listen to your instincts. If your partner starts acting different, if they suddenly need privacy, if they accuse you of being crazy for questioning their behavior, trust me, you're not the crazy one. And if you catch them cheating, don't waste time looking for an apology that won't come. Don't beg for an explanation. Don't let them make you the villain in their mess. Just walk away. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge isn't screaming or fighting or trying to make them feel bad. The best revenge is moving on. And trust me, nothing pisses off a narcissist more than knowing they don't matter anymore.